these and countless other national athletes who may have it worse, who may have meager allowances, who may have meager quarters, who may have sorry equipment to train in. Enough lip service, guys. Enough lip service. That is horse. We invest in the SEA Games? Hindi na ba na-realize na napakaliit na event na yun? That's not even recognized by CNN or even other global media agencies. Asian Games! Dapat dun kayo magbuhos ng suporta. And even more in the Olympics. Huwag na kayo magpadala ng sobrang daming political figures, officials, na mas marami pa kesa sa athletes. It's the Game High Podcast, your place for sports, video games, and everything in between. This is Chip and Carlo, back with another edition. Thanks for joining. As always, we appreciate your support, so please continue to check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Leave a like on our Facebook page and look us up on Instagram with our handle at the gamehigh.ph. So today, the Filipino athlete abroad and the support they get. That's our topic for today. So basically, the sports OFW equivalent. No. Here's the thing, guys. What got us talking about it today is the kind of support these athletes get and the ridiculousness of their situations. Well, or their respective situations.
Yep.
Just like our OFW heroes, we are losing the opportunity to retain our homegrown talent.
And this is actually a very sad situation, honestly, pre. I've heard it's tougher these days, especially with the pandemic, right? I mean, you were telling me before we started our show that you read about, certain articles, right? And so, ano yung thoughts mo, Chip, with that?
In a nutshell, nakakagalit.
Diba?
Nakakagalit. Diba?
Yun yung point
in a nutshell. Pero no, Carlo, let's start muna with our high five because I think that this is going to be like a heavy, serious tone that we're going to take for this one. No, let's start with our high five segment where we want to share some positivity to everyone. I want to share my high five first. Basically, during this week, I had an inuman with a few friends of mine kasi my birthday. I have a friend who had his birthday this week. He's in his late 30s.
Happy birthday!
So, shout out to Boom Braganza. That's for you. So, happy birthday again. It was a good time kasi nakita ko rin for the first time yung mga kaibigan ko after a long time. And, of course, because of this pandemic, kami nakikita, as often as before, di ba?
And inuman, like electronic inuman over Zoom, right?
Yeah. That's how it was.
Okay.
So, yeah, what's yours?
My high five this week naman, actually, I was telling you I won't share anything about work anymore, but ang dami ko pa rin pinapanood the movies. I've been playing a lot of games. I'm highly anticipating, or I am rather anticipating, yung Resident Evil 8, which is coming out on May. So it's just a few months, a few weeks lang actually. To be honest, hindi na
And May, yeah.
May na.
It's May.
Konting tumbling na lang, andyan na tayo.
Si Justin Timberlake nandyan.
Sino? Who? Justin Timberlake?
Never mind. Diba?
Sa Resident Evil?
It's gonna be May.
Oh,
some corniness.
My God. Okay, Chip, if you say so. But
sorry, man. Yeah, sorry to steal
No, siguro, lang, the positivity is, yung excitement that you get around, looking for the video games that you want to play, big titles na, right? And, actually very slow. It's very slow these days because of the pandemic, obviously. It's not as big as yung rollout ng mga big title games for the new consoles and the other things that you are expecting for PC and so on. Hindi siya ganun kabilis eh. So, parang every month ka na nakakarinig na, may bagong labas na or something like that. But that's my high five.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll high five to that as well.
High five.
Something to look forward to, right?
Correct. Let's do it.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, let's get into it. So the topic that we have for you guys today.
Nakagalit.
Nakagalit. Yeah, it's basically, if you guys have heard about Wesley So, the Filipino Grandmaster, right?
Yes, sir.
Grandmaster.
Yes, sir. Grandmaster.
Filipino Grandmaster turned American citizen.
What?
He just
Talaga?
had his U.S. citizenship. Yes, he just had his U.S. He was granted a U.S. citizenship last March. So it was publicized last March. So that was in the latest string of events. That has happened to the Filipino wonderkind turned Grandmaster. So he's still a wonderkind to my, he's still a wonderkind to my thoughts.
He is.
Yeah, I mean, ganun siya kagaling, in other words. No?
Right.
And it is in here kasi I wanted to talk about that. We wanted to talk about that, Carlo, because it's not just him who's being affected by the support or the lack thereof that he was getting from the Philippines. No, even if there have been political figures who have said that he was getting more than the actual allowance that he was supposed to get. That he was supposed to have a bigger stipend than the others than other political figures or whatever. It's just that's the thing, guys. Athletes like Wesley So has, time and again represented the Philippines and brought glory to our country, diba? But the thing is, kasi, Wesley So is just the latest of those who might be on their way out. Okay, medyo ata yun, no?
On their way out, meaning?
Not really on their way out, okay? But it's more of, kasi, okay, here's the thing. The last time Wesley So represented the Philippines was in 2013, okay?
Oh, okay.
And then, the United States sought out for him, and he transferred to the US side, meaning, doon na siya nagre-represent. Yun yung re-represent niya, diba?
Right.
Starting 2014. He is situated in Minnesota, ever since that time. Minnesota. So, I mean, he continued to bring glory. People say he continues to bring glory for the Philippines.
Bakit siya
okay.
Okay.
Bakit siya lumipat? Based on the things that I've read, and I'm not just assuming. I really wanted to be abreast again with the situation. And I basically looked back. I remember the times that I've been hearing this story as it was developing back then, na medyo nakakagalit, na nakakagulat, kasi you have someone, a number one, a very good athlete at that. Kumbaga, the excellent, the cream of the crop
right.
of all national athlete. Nandun, tapos biglang mawawala sa kamay ng Pilipino, diba? I mean,
so is it because na hindi siya nakakakuha? Kasi I mean, the US siguro is the biggest supporter of any kind of sport, right? So yun ba yung reason behind him getting US citizenship?
I don't think that's just the reason.
Right.
You have to take a look at our own backyard and what's happening here. There are many stories that our national athletes get neglected. Whether it be by the facilities that they use, by the equipment that they use, the stipend that they get at a later time, hindi siya on time, or siguro the lack of incentives sa dumarating din on time. Sure, there is such a thing as a Republic Act that is known as the Athletes Incentives Act, wherein gold medalists, Filipino gold medalists, get an incentive from the government with a certain amount. Right. Tapos minsan hindi dumarating on time. In the case of Wesley So kasi, when he represented the Philippines in the World Universiade, World Universiade Chess Olympiad, something, back in 2013, or in 2012 ata. Anyway. 2012, okay. He won the gold medal in that tournament. And alam mo ang nangyari nun, he did not get that incentive. Because of the rule na hindi daw kasi sanctioned ng Philippine Olympic Committee or ng Philippine Sports Commission, whichever body would that be. Tapos hindi ka makakuha ng ganong incentive. I mean,
wait.
It's yeah.
So incentive niya, meaning incentive na galing sa atin or incentive that he was supposed to get winning the tournament?
Galing sa Pilipinas. Galing sa gobyerno ng Pilipinas. Galing sa ahensya na humahawak ng mga national athletes. So dahil hindi daw sanctioned yung event, hindi daw siya makakakuha nun. So parang, okay, the amount is $1 million.
$1 million pesos. Okay.
$1 million pesos.
That's a big deal,
so, it's a big deal. Kahit anong gawin mo, big deal yun because I basically played for flag for flag and the motherland. Tapos hindi ako makakakuha ng ganong amount that I think it's due me because of some law. Parang, isn't it that we can change these laws? Because this Republic Act, I read it somewhere.
So
it's an old,
yeah.
It's an old law. Okay, I forget like when the Athletes Incentive Act was laid out, or the Sports Incentive Act. So basically, okay, ito. So it confines the awarding of cash bonuses to medal winners in the Olympics, World Championships, Asian Games, and SEA Games. Similarly, coaches and trainers of athletes involved in these competitions are the only ones entitled to cash bonuses. Ang question ko kasi dun is, parang ito lang ba yung mga world, are these the only world events that Filipino athletes are entitled to join in? Ito lang ba? Because there are a lot. I mean, in respective sports, may mga sanctioned events of these global bodies, of this global body na sinasanction ng certain sports, or sabihin natin kahit hindi. But the mere fact that you actually brought home the gold medal, you brought home glory to the Philippines, and then you're not gonna get 1 million pesos.
Right.
At that time, merong warring political factions in the Philippine Olympic Committee. So, he got stuck in the middle. He was in the middle of it and came out empty-handed. So, I think that was I believe that was the straw that broke the camel's back. That was, perhaps the thing that, you know what? F it. I'm gonna go search for another group who would actually support me.
And that's the reason why. That's the reason why. I guess I don't blame him for that. I mean, given what you said, pre, na sobrang caveman nitong mga rules that we have. And that's, you said it's an old law, right? I mean,
it's an old...
Where does it say na people can compete, or, there are certain events that parang may listahan, ito yung listahan lang na pwede kang mag-compete. Which is limiting. And chess doesn't...
It is limiting.
The chess doesn't have that parang leeway for you to be limited in the type of tournaments that you join, because every tournament that you join gets, your FIDE rating gets affected. So
it's not just in chess, Carlo, that it's not just in chess na may mga global tournaments that are not sanctioned by the POC or the PSC or whatever this law is. Whatever this archaic law is, na dapat kailangan amyendahan na, improve it, so that magkaroon naman, to catch up with the rest of the world.
Yeah,
diba?
I mean,
again, the Olympics, the FIBAs or the FIFAs or the whatever global equal to those bodies. SEA Games, Asian Games, again, those are fine. Yun yung mga the grandest stage, so to speak. But to tell your Filipino athletes that you can only compete in these is limiting to the potential and the development of our national athletes.
Right.
And it's really painful, Carlo, for me, na actually ako, pare ko dito, wala na akong pakialam sa politika nangyayari every day, no? Pero tamaan mo yung sports, tamaan mo yung larangan ng palakasan, that's actually something that you don't mess with.
Yep,
right?
yep.
Politics and sports, they should not mix. They should not mix at all.
It's oil and water.
Tignan mo yung nangyari nun sa Tignan mo yung nangyari before with the BAP, and kaya nagkaroon ng Basketball Association of the Philippines when we were banned from international competitions. Dahil puro politika eh. Diba? You have two warring factions. And then, anong nangyari? Sure, it led to the creation of SBP, but it got us banned. The Philippines, which is a basketball-loving country, got banned to play internationally. Sobrang kalokohan nun. And sino nagsasuffer nun? Yung athletes. It's not it's not these political figures who are suffering from the lack of competition that our national athletes should get themselves in. So, I think with regard to Wesley So, that's what happened. Parang,
and it's very disappointing kasi we're these are very talented people, right? We were also talking about before this. So there's a another wonderkind right now, Prodigy, a 10-year-old Filipino na who's on the rise kasi he's being recognized as a very good chess player. And, with Wesley So as one of our youngest grandmasters ever who has represented us in the global stage, alam mo yun, parang nawawalan din ng prestige eh. Para sa akin, it's something that our laws, our governing bodies should look into. Again, siguro
ideally, Carlo, ideally.
We're again, pero let me just say that we're looking at this on the perspective of outside looking in. Pero it's idiotic eh. The way you're wherever you want to look at it eh. So hindi siya ganun ka enticing, I would say, for people, especially if that's their passion. And ngayon na may pandemic, mas limiting pa, 'di ba? Hindi ka nagkakaroon ng opportunity to build your skills just because may pandemic na, number one, and then you have these idiotic laws already governing it na okay, I can join this, I can join that. And that's why we don't blame them, moving towards the US. And
well, ito rin yun kasi, Carlo. I think in line with the Wesley So controversy, for the lack of a better term, 'di ba? But Wesley So kasi,
it is
in
a
fact,
controversy.
hati yung mga tao dito. His fellow chess players in the Philippines, hati sila. Some say, sige, go.
What are they saying?
Some are actually supporting him with the move. Even with the one in 2014. Who could blame him, diba?
Yeah.
On the other hand, you know what the other people said? They felt betrayed. First of all, you don't have any right to feel betrayed by your countryman who wants to seek better opportunities for himself or herself. You should feel betrayed by the people who should be supporting you. You should feel betrayed when a government is ineptly supporting you, inconsistently. At that.
Yes,
diba?
That's where the betrayal
There are
lies.
a handful of stories already with our national athletes who are, Wesley So is just one of them. Sobrang swerte talaga siya. But what about yung mga ibang national athletes that don't get the spotlight? Pero, alam mo yun, who toil, who have blood, sweat, and tears just to bring home glory. Tapos maririnig mo, may mga facilities na deteriorating, may mga equipment na siguro kakalakalawang. I mean, sure, things have perhaps in some way or another improved over the years. But that is still the general stigma our national athletes have been facing. If I may just put it on the flip side, Carlo, si Senator Manny Pacquiao, who has brought time and again, like others, glory to our to flag and the motherland. Pero hindi siya Olympic athlete. Hindi siya SEA Games athlete, hindi siya Asian Games athlete. Hindi siya FIBA player. Pero he actually got incentives before. So why was Wesley So denied? Why was Wesley So denied?
There's just so much imparity that's going on right now. Yung
aside from imparity, there's a certain double standard. I have nothing against Pacquiao. Never had anything against him. Siya lang so far yung nakapagdala ng zero crime rate for 2 hours here in the Philippines because of his boxing matches before.
One of the benefits about Pacquiao match. Pero objectively speaking, pre, 'di ba? Ang boxing, we're known Filipinos, right? If foreigners are looking at it. It's either basketball that we are good at because it's a popular sport, or boxing because of Manny Pacquiao.
BBB nga yan, Carlo eh. Boxing, BBB. Billiards, and boxing. Boxing, billiards, and basketball.
Oh. But looking at chess, right? Chess is a sport here na played rin naman. I mean, same grassroots level na kind of competition kasi you're seeing people play sa kanto. You're seeing people play in school. So there's like multi-levels.
Na maraming magagaling mind you. Maraming magagaling sa street chess, di ba?
And that's a level, there's different levels even with other countries, right? But the thing is, chess, if you're looking at the world stage, malaki din ang prestige niyan. Because it's a battle of wits. It's a battle of
Battle
smarts.
of the brains nga, di ba?
Brains.
Battle
And kami ni Chip, hindi kami chess players. Hindi rin kami experts pretending to know
nag-chess lang ako sa mobile phone na mababa pa yung levels.
and ako natatalo din ako kasi yung isa kong friend, her kid plays chess, tinalo ako ng 12-year-old. So, alam mo yun.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, the thing is about that
12-year-old chess player. I mean, kung ikaw chinibog, what more others? And you mentioned about this wonderkind who's a 10-year-old?
Wala na tayo. Patay na tayo dyan. No,
Wesley So started at such a young age as well.
Exactly.
I mean, sure, he was supported before, granted.
That's what I'm saying din, pre. That's what I'm saying, pre, na Manny Pacquiao, who has these accolades, who has these titles, Wesley So, started on the same level, and he has, I think, equal levels of accolades and recognition because of the chess titles that he won.
Tsaka equal prestige siya. At some point, number 2 in the world.
2017.
Yun na lang, number 2 in the world, Carlo.
And that's...
Sige, sabihin mo nang bumaba na yung ranking niya ngayon to being number 8, number 9?
Number 9.
That's still top 10 out of, 1,000 grandmasters all over the world.
Exactly my point.
Top 0.01 percentile ka
ata eh. Isipin mo, yung number 2 time niya na nag-2017, he was very young. He was around 23, 24? Ano ako nung 23 and 24? Already working. Siya was already a grandmaster, number 2 rated player in the world, right? Tapos
may nakita nga akong tweet, Carlo eh. Wesley So is just 23 years old. Bad news for other chess players. He is still improving. So
correct. And then, yung point ko din na yung number 2 rating niya or number 2 ranking niya, he was just a notch below Magnus Carlsen. And Magnus Carlsen, whether you know chess or not, is a big name in the world of chess. Kasi, ito yung parang genius of our time when it comes to chess. And kailangan mo to be you ranked second after that guy. I mean,
idol
that
niya.
Speaks a lot.
Idol niya, by the way.
Idol niya, by the way. And that speaks a lot for me, di ba? So, ako, on my side, I don't blame him going to the US and seeking the kind of support that he needs because of the priorities na meron tayo ngayon in the Philippines. Na, okay, so may mga certain sports lang tayong tinitignan na magkakaroon ka ng kind of support. And certain sports and athletes na nade-deny ng kind of support din because may mga rules, idiotic and stupid rules that we have in place, right?
So, okay, not idiotic. Idiotic now. Archaic, I would be more like it. But in fairness to other NSAs naman kasi, I mean, we all have other national sports agencies na dapat tutok doon sa mga respective sports that they're governing. But why would you have political figures in those agencies? Ano bang alam nila? Honestly. Seriously. Rakot, I'm sorry, but that is actually a known fact, di ba? So parang, these guys, alam mo, mas nagpapadala pa sila mga delegates ng mga political officials, public officials sa mga world events than send our athletes there?
Yeah.
Parang, may mali ata doon But parang mas maraming mas maraming political figures in these world sporting events than athletes? So parang,
I don't know.
Yeah, and that's one of the sad realities kasi that our national athletes have been facing for a long time. And it's really not just Wesley So. Wesley So is just one victim.
Yep.
Diba? Again, guys, don't feel betrayed to the chess players all over who disagree with this decision. Don't feel betrayed because nilayasan kayo ni Wesley So. Wesley So was simply looking out for himself.
Yeah.
Period.
And just like...
And he has that support and he's been enjoying that support since 2014.
He wants to be the best.
Ngayon naging US citizen siya. Yep. Ngayon naging US citizen siya. It all the more it became a sadder state. No? To be for a Filipino,
representing technically yung listing niya will be someone from right now the FIDE, if you're going to the FIDE website, you're gonna see him, Wesley So, representing under the USA because of his citizenship. That's
what's one thing that also pissed me off, Carlo, is that one of the political figures, a former grandmaster at that, said that Wesley So will always be a Filipino. What's important is that Wes declares in his interviews that he still has the heart and soul of a Filipino.
What?
How disappointing. Ang sabi pa niya, So would still proudly don a barong Tagalog, the country's national wardrobe for men. So parang, yeah, he knows that. Pinoy siya by heart. Pero bakit ganun lang tayo mag-support? Lip service. You know, it wouldn't have come this far. It wouldn't have come this far if our politicians, time and again, have, gotten their acts together. It's all about lip service, eh. And our national athletes are actually getting what? They get criticized every day for their performance. They get tired. They put blood, sweat, and tears. Tapos, gaganitin lang kayo ng mga political figures.
That's just pathetic. Sobrang pathetic ng excuse na reason na yun.
It's a sad, pathetic state.
Why would I, kung ako, okay, fine. So, if I go to, let's say, I get my US citizenship right now, I know I'm Filipino. I know that in myself, Filipino pa rin naman ako. Magsasalita pa rin naman ako ng Tagalog doon. Hindi naman ako ganun marunong mag-English. Pero, why would I say, during my interviews, na I'm still Filipino, when in fact, US citizen ako? It's because hindi nga ako nagkaroon ng exact support from my own country for me to be better. So I'd rather get a country that recognizes my talent or a group of that will support me in order for me to get better. I want to be world number 1. I want to be better than Magnus Carlsen. Maybe that's yung intention ni Wesley. So for someone like him, a grandmaster, still a grandmaster, to say na, okay, no, sige, magbarong ka na lang pre, tsaka sabihin mo Pinoy ka, why? I mean, why?
Are we gonna settle for that? Yun yung question dun eh. Is it right to even just settle for that?
We don't. Ako, no, we don't.
No,
because
absolutely not.
No, that's where the problem is. That's where, most of our OFWs right now, it's an industry, it's a big industry that's generating a lot of income for the country. And, instead of, and in a third world country like ours, na hindi nagkakaroon ng opportunities for us to build internally and to grow internally, we're exporting most of our talents when it could have been invested in our own development as a country. Na, it's maybe it just the country has already took advantage of this system for the longest time because of the income that it brings. Pero for you to work in a country and for you to better your country, na nagkakaroon ka ng opportunity na magkaroon ng, alright, eto, let's fix this, or this one, let's improve that. Diba? We're getting stuck eh. So, maybe that's why maybe our progress is also very, very slow. Right? And
you know what's also limiting, Carlo, for our athletes kasi, again, we have an inept sports body. We have inept sports bodies who are not forward-thinking because there is, sabi ko said, diba kanina, there are a lot of athletes who are actually who are being victims of the system. There is another athlete, an example, which would show kung bakit hindi progressive yung Philippines. One is Michael Martinez.
Okay.
If you're familiar with him, he's a figure skater. He is the very first Southeast Asian to be qualified in the Winter Olympics. Olympics.
Isipin mo yan.
Okay. Granted, Carlo, it's not like an everyday sport where figure skating here in the Philippines is actually as prestigious as in Russia or in Europe, diba? Or even in the States, diba?
And my point
we
there
can compete internationally.
Diba? Exactly my point. So talent, pure and unadulterated talent. And isipin mo, the Philippines, everyone listening in, the Philippines is a tropical country. Wala kaming yelo. We don't have snow. We don't have frozen
Ice skating rink.
May ice skating rink kami sa mall, okay? Pero wala kaming mga natural, cold weather or even cold environment for you to be naturally inclined to do ice skating. Gets mo? So,
correct.
Kasi people, say, for example, if you live in Canada, big sport doon is hockey. Why? Because they have frozen lakes. They can play during, winter. And from a young age, you can do that. So, ngayon, tayo na itong mga Filipino athletes sa 17-year-old, 16-year-old goes into ice skating because they learned it at the mall. Pero they can compete in an international level It's just astounding, right? And then, to your point, they're not getting that support. And
ang ano nga naman kasi doon, Carlo, is that fine, granted, pero hindi natin susuportahan ng isang taong nagdadala ng tagumpay para sa Pilipinas. Someone who represents the Philippines should be supported by the government by hook or by crook. Tangina, sorry Pai. Sorry for that, pero nadadala lang talaga ako sa akin.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Kasi over the years, it's really sad. It's really a sad state and that we live in, no? Dami-dami ng problema ng Pilipinas. Sports being something that would be used, something that is used to unite people, to unite our country. Parang may mga divisions pa rin. And yung Michael Martinez is just one of those national athletes who are, again, victim of the system.
Who else do you know? I know basketball is still have.
You know why Michael Martinez's status is sad right now? Because he set up a GoFundMe to basically fund his training and equipment and whatnot just to qualify for the Winter Olympics. Right?
God. So he had to get public support.
It has public support pa nangyayari, nagiging
crowdfunding, crowd-raising,
Yes, nagiging charity case. Siguro kaya rin niya ginawa yun because what? Our national skating body didn't give a damn. Ano ba nangyari behind the scenes doon? Right?
I don't know.
And it had to go public eh. Parang namumulubi siya. And it's also the same thing that Heidelin Diaz, our champion, our Olympic weightlifter who went home with the silver medal in the Olympics back in 2016, 2018. I forget which one it is. But it's the same thing. She was asking for support. She was appealing. Guys, please, I need money to train because I will bring home a medal for the Philippines.
I'm cringing right now.
Diba? Parang nakakalungkot, nakakagalit. All these emotions really towards these figures who are bringing nothing but glory for our country with their blood, sweat, and tears. And then wala silang nakukuha any kind of support from our governing bodies. And yun, why would even you want to even do that? Ibig sabihin desperado ka na. Kasi ibig sabihin walang nangyayari.
Yeah. And I mean, I understand.
Right?
I understand where they're coming from.
Diaz and then Michael Martinez. You remember the issue about Alex Ayala? The tennis,
What's that?
The teenager tennis player who is playing.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alex Ayala, diba?
Yeah, so for everyone listening, Chip, just give a quick background.
Okay, si Alex Ayala kasi, she is a tennis player who has been playing in Europe with pro events. So basically, she's part of the World Tennis Association, no? So
ATP,
Alex,
okay.
ATP, yeah. So Alex Ayala, I think she's 13, 12 years old ba? Basta bata pa siya. And she continues to climb in the rankings, in the global rankings. With her recent experience, I mean, for the past year na lang, she continues to climb in the global rankings. And her competition, her training, anything that has to do with her to be part of a tournament, yung training niya, yung equipment niya, she actually funds her own. She is funded by her parents. I mean, she's very fortunate because she has she's an upper middle class.
Okay.
Her mom is an executive. Her dad's an entrepreneur. And in terms of funding, kung tutusin, wala silang problema. Pero right. You know what happened with the PSC? Yep. When they actually congratulated her for winning, for her success in the past year. Wala siyang nakuhang piso from the governing body that actually pledged support for her.
Wow.
And in the end, na nangyari, they denied the family of Alex Ayala. Parang hindi na namin kailangan yung tulong nyo. Okay na kami. You know what had happened when that was said? 9 months in September. 9 months after when that governing body pledge their support. Na sige, we will provide you with a much needed financial support. And I remember reading one article about it saying na parang prinoproseso pa daw ng, I think, Philippine Sports Commission yun eh. Pinoproseso pa daw ng Philippine Sports Commission yung kanilang paglabas ng cheque or yung pag-encash ng cheque para bigay sa kanila so that they can spend it for the kids' training, equipment, and whatnot. Basically, yung kanyang operating expense.
Right.
That was in September. The pledge was made in January. 9 months, hindi mo malabas-labas yung pera? Nagbibigay sila ng mga resibo? Kailangan nyo ng resibo para makapaglabas ng pera? 9 months, hindi nyo proseso? It's really, that shows how sad it is.
Yes.
And again, Alex Ayala is really fortunate to have to have a family that really supports her financially. Other national athletes are not as fortunate.
That will
Wesley
take toll.
So actually was funding himself.
That will
before.
take toll, pre. Yung ganyang klaseng approach, even let's say na yung parents niya are loaded or well off, essentially, that will bankrupt them. Kasi it's just the one source of it's just one avenue of your support that you're getting from. When in fact, magkakaroon ka pa ng more chances because if you're having multiple sponsors that can help you. So the burden really is in the family nung time na yon, is in her family. And it's not going to be sustainable. And that's why
Carlo, just to sorry, go ahead.
I mean just saying na anyone who wants to excel in the field of sports right now, they bring in the titles. That's where their recognition comes from. Pero they won't do this without support, right? I mean, all of the big names in sports right now has had multiple avenues of support that they have gotten from with other benefactors for them to be successful, right? And it's because they have recognized their talent as an investment. Na okay, kailangan nila ng supportan, sige, kasi I know this person's going to be a big star. And
you know how good Alex Ayala is. Just to let you guys know, our listeners, she is the world number 2 ranked ITF junior as of October 2020.
Wow.
I mean, sure, she has long ways to go. She has ways to go.
She has
ways to go before she can achieve what Serena Williams or Venus Williams have achieved. Where Steffi Graf, who became world number 1 before, Martina Hingis, ang layo pa niya para marating yun.
Pero she's there.
She's number 2 ranked
she's
ITF junior as of October 6, 2020. Hindi mo susuportahan yun?
Diba? She's there already.
Oh my goodness. That
she's there.
is really infuriating.
Kumbaga,
she's just 12.
The support that she needs to come, the support that she needs right now, yun yung parang, yun yung breaking point niya to go forward eh. Yun na yung parang, yung signal niya na, okay, sige, that's the world already for me to conquer. I just need the backup. Kailangan ko lang ng people behind me for me to get there.
Yeah, and you know what? I won't be surprised if Michael Martinez and Alex Ayala or who's the other athlete that was mentioned earlier?
Wesley So.
No, Wesley So. All these guys, I mean, not just Wesley So, sorry. Michael Martinez and Alex Ayala. I won't be surprised if they take the route that Wesley So did.
Yep. I don't blame them.
I will not be surprised. And I will continue to be infuriated with how they're being treated.
Yeah.
And that goes well to the other national athletes who are being treated or have gotten treated the same way as these guys are. Swerte talaga ng Gilas eh. They are really funded well. They're a well-oiled machine in terms of financial capabilities.
Yeah.
But what about the others? Your table tennis stars.
They're already
your
there.
Volleyball players. Your golf players.
I'm gonna keep
Alam mo
on
kung saan
saying
tayo mag-excel, Carlo? Individual sports.
I'm gonna keep on saying it, pre. All of these talents that we have right now are already on the precipice. Yun yung point nun. Right?
Correct.
It's not like basketball na, Oo, it's a different story. Filipinos like basketball over any other sport. Pero it's all about excellence. Sports is all about excellence, right? And that's something that we have to recognize ourselves when directing our attention, especially through social media, and you know how information right now is super accessible these days. Na yung attention natin is shifted just towards the popular ones. But we hardly recognize anyone that has these talents, has these accomplishments already at very, very young ages. Mind you, tapos hindi sila nagkakaroon ng klaseng support. So, you know what, everyone, just to share, Chip and I has always been the kind of people in sports na we always root for the underdogs. Because we always, the popular sports are
Maybe
always
naman we always, but it's more like we like rooting for underdogs.
Yeah, we do. Because these are, well, yeah, okay, sure. Pero the thing about it is, we look at the capacity, the opportunity, and the potential, which are similar words now that I think about it. Pero yun yung what's much exciting, rooting for these types of people and garnering these types of support. So, kind of shifting, towards our end of our discussion here today, Chip. Any final thoughts, before we move on to our match point? Because that's the way I'm seeing it right now, na there's a lot of lost opportunities na nakikita ko with Philippine sports. And we have covered some of these points with our previous episodes. Talking about, basketball, we have Kai Soto before, right? Yeah, but any final thoughts, pre, regarding the situation?
Well, okay, match point na ba tayo? Are we gonna have our match point now?
Let's do it.
Yeah,
let's just
do our match point. Ikaw muna ka na. I'm trying to gather my thoughts. You know how emotional and impassionate I was earlier. So let me gather my thoughts first.
Yeah, that's how, if you are friends with this guy, you know how it is. Chip is someone that's really passionate when it comes to sports, and when it comes to certain topics that we discuss, when it hits the heartstrings, boom, it's always like that. All right, so here's my match point for today. Obviously, the topic or the point of all of the things that we have talked about is things have to change. It's deplorable what our athletes are going through right now. We have big Olympics. The Tokyo 2020 Olympics might be just around the corner. The SEA Games is end of year. And we have these big tournaments. We have this big world stage competitions na magkakaroon ng representation of the Filipino talent. And not just with those types of big stage, but, in any kind of tournaments that these people join, they have to have that support. We have to back them up. Let's try to, be objective about it. Because basketball, we probably are always going to recognize that we're going to be almost there, because yung Gilas natin can compete in FIBA, the backup that they have, like Chip said, it's already there. Pero let's take a look back and look at athletes who have already made these advancement towards their career with the types of tournaments that they have won, which are easily recognizable as something na, okay, ito na yung parang path namin going forward. And for us to get to the next level, right? Yun na yung kailangan naming support. So that's what I'm trying to point out here. Let's just take a look back and see where other sports that we have in the Philippines and people rather that are also excelling. Na, let's just give them our attention. Let's shift the spotlight. We have a lot of things going on. Let's just take a look at this, shift the spotlight, and see what happens. We're gonna get there. The recognition that we have or we need and deserve in Filipino sports will be there.
Good. My match point, Carlo. You have Wesley So, you have Michael Martinez, and you have Alex Ayala, who are victims of the system. Wesley So, as you guys have heard and time and again before, became a U.S. citizen to the ire of that drew the ire of some of his Filipino chessmates. And they felt that they were betrayed with the move that he did. And even before, when he went to the United States to be adopted, so to speak, by the United States, and they felt betrayed. Michael Martinez is right now has a GoFundMe wherein he's asking for financial support, not just lip service, not just your word of "Woo, go Michael," not just Pinoy pride. He's asking money. Parang namumulubi. Ang pathetic, ang sad. Then you have Alex Ayala, who, okay, Michael Martinez is not pathetic. What he did, what he's doing, humbling himself now, just to get the support that he needs. It's no joke because he will have to spend $50,000 just to get into the Winter Olympics. And once he is there, he would need more. So ano kailangan? Patunayan muna niya. He has already proven that he is the very first Southeast Asian to be qualified for the Winter Olympics before. What does he need to prove? What else? And then you have Alex Ayala, who was told that that the Philippine Sports Commission, whatever governing body that was, pledged their support for her for 2020. And as of September last year, not a single centavo was provided to her family. Nothing was reimbursed. Nothing was given. And yet, she is world number two in the ITF junior circuit. These are and countless other national athletes who may have it worse. May have it worse. Who may have meager allowances. Who may have meager quarters. Who may have sorry equipment to train in. Enough lip service, guys.
Yep.
Enough lip service. That is horse shit. We invest in the SEA Games? Hindi nyo ba na-realize napakaliit na event na yun? That's not even recognized by CNN or even other global media agencies. Asian Games! Dapat dun kayo magbuhos ng suporta. And even more in the Olympics. Huwag na kayo magpadala ng sobrang daming political figures, officials, na mas marami pa kesa sa athletes. More than the number of athletes that we're sending are political figures, public figures, and their families who are just there to vacation? To have a vacation? And puro lip service na lang. Photo ops dito, left and right. And that's it. How long should our athletes suffer for the incompetence, due to the incompetence and ineptness of our sports governing bodies with the lack of financial support? How long will it take for us to not have another Wesley So debacle that could actually be done by other athletes? Makahanap lang yan, seryoso, makahanap lang yan ng isang benefactor who will be willing to support them outside the Philippines. Don't cry foul when they represent another country. Don't cry foul when they are a citizen of another country. And then don't even say that they're still Filipino by heart. That's pathetic. Sorry ass.
Don't blame
statement.
them. Don't blame them.
Don't blame them. Don't feel betrayed when your countryman wants to better his or her own future by going somewhere else. Who would provide them that opportunity, those opportunities to develop, to train, and have a better life. And be appreciated, not just by lip service. Again, guys, how long will we have another Wesley So debacle? I hope and pray that our grassroots level, the Filipino wonderkind named Basti, the chess guy, who is just 10 years old. 10 years old! And who won a national tournament recently. Huh? Or, that chess player, Filipino wonderkind, wins that national chess. 10-year-old. Galing! How long will it take for that person, to do what Wesley So did? Don't cry foul when your countrymen, again, don't cry foul if your countrymen become imports in other commercial leagues. Kasi, basura yung competition dito. Wala akong support na nakukuha. Or other reasons. Simple as that.
Right.
So that's my match point, Carlo.
So what a very poignant match point, Chip. That's where we are right now, and that's where hopefully that Basti, if you're listening to this, the road might be clear or what's going to happen to you, but I hope things change.
Sky's the limit for that guy, man. Sky's the limit.
I know, right? That's Bobby Fischer in the making. But that's the buzzer for another episode, everyone. You always expect some high octane conversations going, and that's where our podcast is always all about. A different perspective, different take on things, and
impassionate too.
Yeah, impassionate. We were not going to hold back our thoughts, and thanks for everyone for listening again. That's it for now. But make sure that you are going to follow us on gamehigh.ph for our content on this. And follow us on Facebook and Instagram at gamehigh.ph.
Yeah, guys, and as usual, if you guys have any suggestions, violent reactions, like mine toward the issue, basically your thoughts on our current, your thoughts on our current episode, we would love to hear from you. Hit us up in the comments section or message us through our Facebook or Instagram pages.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm not usually like this, as you may have heard in the previous episodes. Normally, masaya ako sa end. Right now, medyo kadala-dala ng emotion.
And we don't...
I do apologize, but I'm not gonna apologize for my thoughts on that matter.
Nope. And we don't usually talk over during our outro. But yeah, go ahead.
Yep. But guys, that's it. No? Thanks for listening. This is Chip.
And this is Carlo.
Cheers, guys. We'll see you then for another episode.
Bye-bye. Ciao.